Hey everybody, welcome into the Beehive. I'm your host, TheBee at LLC. This is where we stack precious metals like it's pollen and nectar. And today we have Ian Everard joining us again. Let me bring him up. Ian, welcome in.
Hey there, how you doing?
Good, good. Well, let's maybe start by hearing what's the shop been like up there.
Didn't make it today. I had to make a pickup and talk to my goldsmith up in Rexburg, and then I had to pick up some more product. And then I got to the top of the pass, and there was an accident, and I could see the traffic backed up all the way into Jackson.
Oh wow, I see.
And I thought, you know what? By the time I get there and get set up, it'll be time to start the live stream. I thought, I'm going home. It's like,
cool. I see. Yeah.
But no, yeah, pretty good. Building up local customers, meeting local people. So yeah, and did a big jewelry pickup. Picked up 6 pieces today, so we're going to have a much bigger display tomorrow in the store.
Nice. You got some jewelry made for the osmium then. Is that what you're talking?
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, yeah, we'll have to definitely check some of those out. Yeah, so where do we want to start? Has the silver and gold been moving much? Which one are people focused on right now?
Silver, we do have some people who just, I can't shift them from buying gold, and so if gold is what they really want, and sometimes it's space, and sometimes it's perception of volatility, but predominantly silver. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's the obvious place to be going right now.
I think so. I mean, I always tell people, well, I try to remember too, that you're not buying gold when you buy silver. When you buy silver, you get included in the price a call option that doesn't cost anything extra, that never expires, as the option to convert to gold at a better ratio.
That's a good way of looking at it. That's a good point. Yeah. Good point.
And if you look throughout history, I mean, God, I wish I'd known this stuff when I was like 7, 8 years old. Can you imagine if you'd played that gold-silver ratio? How much you could have made more than any hedge fund, any stock market fund, anybody just played the gold-silver ratio.
Right.
You know, the amount, I mean, like just last week, gold, silver, the ratio increased 10%.
Yeah, it can be dramatic, and I think it will be here probably coming up soon. The ratio there. So I haven't been paying that much closely watching the banking, but have you seen anything lately in the banking system?
There's always something going on. It looks like China is in huge trouble.
Yeah.
It's the first time in 19 years there's been a decrease in lending, because the lending has all been funded by currency debasement. And I think as I was going to say stupid, what's a better word for a central or for a country's bank? As the rationale behind creating wealth by creating units of currency, I think, has come to an end. Even in China, they've realized, do you know what, this is not going to work to creating any more. So now the number of loans issued is dropping, and more loans are getting repaid than are being made. So I think that's a clear sign that China is in big trouble. You know, and obviously that has repercussions. You know, so many people seem to be piling into the propaganda about the BRICS.
Yeah.
It looks like there's not going to be a C in it soon. So it'll be the BRIS.
Oh, yeah.
And then if or when the Russian Federation loses its, special military operation in Ukraine, it's probably likely the Russian Federation will break up. So then there won't be an R in the BRICS. So that leaves, take out that. Now you've got BIS.
Yeah.
And then that leaves I in the middle, India. I think India will always side with the West. I mean, they're practically at war with China anyway, physically on that border dispute. They're always skirmishes and soldiers killing soldiers.
I've heard that, yeah.
I think with India's history, they'll side with the West. So there'll be no I. There's a lot of animosity against the dollar and what we've used it for, and that's fully understandable. But it's still, we've got a greater degree of law and order financially here than almost anywhere else in the world. So as bad as it is and as corrupt as some things have become, people realize this is a safer place to do business, and definitely Russia or China.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a depressing outlook, but yeah. I mean, it's true probably, but sad because it's not getting any better with us either as far as
it's not, is it? And you called me the other day about the lawful and legal, and birth certificates, and it's like that just really tied into me that there is no level to which some humans who think they are superior there's no level they won't stoop to steal the effort of people's lives.
Yeah, and it's to a point where it's tied up in hundreds of years of propagation or propaganda, and so it's hard to pull people any my own perception out of it. I'm trying to myself wake up to the reality of how far we are off, and I was looking into it, and in 1913, kind of when we started signing our birth certificates, instead of, we used to just put them in the Bible, and that was our genealogy. That's why in the Bible it's so and so begat so and so begat so and so. And then you look at any early culture. I'm looking at these ancient coins and kind of looking into that culture, and they all had that same thing. I mean, it's literally just their understanding of reality and what was around them. And they just so and so begot so and so, and in this time this happened, and that's their, but we were once we had our freedoms established here in the US, where it's basically what our Constitution was founded off of, was those biblical standards. And then we kind of had our supposedly our rights within ourselves. These are self-evident rights. And as long as you don't, defraud, steal, kill, those basics, you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and we started, it's just through trickery and deceit. And to put your finger in one place is a little hard, but one place you can definitely see where they got a huge grab on their control of us was when we started signing in our birth certificates, which when you're doing that, you're not really there. You think you're just getting like a certificate of life, but that's not actually all that's taking place. They're also logging you as their own kind of control. You've signed them over to them in a sense. And I know this sounds a little crazy, but when you look into it, I think it's what's happened. And in turn, they issue us an all caps letter. This is a thing that's done through Admiralty law, the law of the sea instead of the law of the land. And when we get this birth certificate, we get a little on the back, there'll be red numbers, and that's a QSIP number, and that's your bond. That's the and it used to be these United States.
Okay.
And it's no longer these United States. We went bankrupt and we became a corporation, the all capital letters, the United States.
Right.
And that's how the corporation and the Admiralty law, that's why the difference between legal and law, because if you go by the original law of the land, it's that basics that we had in the Constitution. But we kind of sign that over when you sign your child over to all these social securities and social this, you're signing a contract with this corporation government, and it's a contract, it's a corp, it's a so, and then that allows their what do you call like a policies, and that's how we get policies becoming legal instead of lawful, and that's how it gets, because and we think of lawful, legal as lawful, but there's actually, there's a little bit of a discrepancy here, and we don't realize it. And so I mean that's that's probably pretty pretty deep in there, but what you realize is when you did that, you signed your rights over, you've declared yourself a citizen under them, and with citizens you don't really have rights. That's why there's a false thing out there called sovereign citizen. But you can't, that's like an oxymoron. You can't be a sovereign and a citizen. Those are opposites. Those are, you can't do that. If you're a citizen, you're of no power under the court, under your government. You've signed away your rights.
So do you think, on a sort of a bigger picture, on a spiritual picture, that whether this is enforced or not, it allows a lot of the stuff that is going on in this, like the spiritual realm, it allows a lot of this deception?
Yes, because see,
we've signed for it.
Yes, see, we're leaning on the government instead of leaning on God to be our one thing that we submit to.
And that's, I mean, that's been my issue since definitely since I first started visiting America, but definitely since 2015. My issue was that when the American people are trying to put their trust in a president, they're asking for a king. They're asking for someone to have the powers just to sort everything out. And humans are human. We're all flawed. And if you give somebody that power, they will abuse it.
Yeah, and see, it wasn't supposed to be originally where they have any. They're supposed to be under our power. That was the that's it's all through trickery, and these contracts that they don't tell you the whole truth. Nothing. They don't do it. They actually coerce you into do it. They make you think you're doing one thing and you're actually doing another thing.
Right.
So it's all through deceit and evil and I mean, maybe at least that's the way I would see it. Maybe other people would say that's how you do it, but I mean, to me, that's by the law of the land, that's corruption.
Right.
At the legal system, it's what you have to do.
So I wasn't born in the US, but I've got a social security number. So when I signed the forms for that, have I been co-opted into this?
I would think for sure, at least under our system. I mean, you might go back over to them, and then because see, that's what this argument about jurisdiction, when people go into a court, who gets to, they're saying who has ownership of you. Do I make the money off of you, or do you get the money?
Well, I mean, the practical reality for the bulk of Americans is the corporations make money off them, isn't it? I mean, wages have flatlined for 55 years.
And that's what bonds, a big part of our bonds that were traded as, it's our energy. It's our, and then we pay taxes on that and buy into the bonds to keep it rolling.
So indebted servitude, really, for the term of your life.
Yep. And that's why, and like when you, like I paid for my car, but I still pay the state taxes because they actually have the actual title. I own I mean, it says that I have paid it off, but I still have to pay taxes, and I don't have the actual ownership of that car. You get down
there's no such thing as free and clear in property or land. No.
Right. And it's the same with property taxes, and that's, I think that's kind of why things are getting so open and bold and blatant. And that's where you're getting these comments, you will own nothing and be happy. And I think that's kind of more already real than we realize.
Yeah. And I think they missed off the end of that sentence, didn't they? You will own nothing and be happy.
Yeah.
Or you'll be dead. Yeah.
But see, this is part of the deception. Like they always have to keep it upside down. Right side is up and upside is down. I mean, this is, like you say, it ties in with the spiritual if you believe in that aspect of it.
And then they're slipping in a lot of deceit with a lot of truth as well, probably. So there's a often the worst that is going on is hidden amongst other.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, 1913. Well, what happened in December 1913 as well on Jekyll Island?
Right.
Was that a coincidence, or was that part of the scheming, part of the control?
I mean, I haven't looked that close into it, but guess who owns those numbers? It's the big banks.
And we don't, and we don't know who owns them.
Right.
So we don't even know who our earthly master is.
Yes.
Aye.
But it's and they keep us going back and forth like, oh, are you gonna, we've lost all, like, we have big conversations, and me too. I mean, I'm just coming on to this information, but it seems legit to me, because I mean, we have these arguments about, well, why the Constitution says this, why are we doing this? Well, it's because the Constitution's been out the door for quite a while, at least in their eyes. Now, the people don't realize it yet, and that's where this is coming from. But
yeah, I mean, Article 1, Section 10, the states will use nothing but gold and silver coin as settlement of debts.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. See, and that's how this channel got to this point. I'm not really meaning to even throw all this out there, but that's just, I'm realizing that's why I'm always on the banks. That's why I'm seeing this money aspect. That's why I'm, and so.
So what's the antidote?
Boy, well, there's.
Well, I guess if you realize it, you can just say, you can say spiritually, I don't agree with that bond. I break that bond. I didn't know I was making it.
Right. Like there's people that right now are like opening up the law of the land courts, and they've sent out documentation to all the government agencies saying, thank you for governing my life up into this point, but you are no longer needed. You're fired. I'm governing my own estate as a living man, and I'm no longer that dead paper, straw man character.
Wow. Basically. I mean, I've heard of this over the last 3-4 years. I've heard pieces of this, but I've never heard as much information as you've pulled together. I've heard people mention it, and it's interesting. Also, you mentioned about we went from these United States to the. And I think it's so powerful when you change and you say, let's stop calling our home the United States. Let's all make a deliberate, same as we'll call money and currency. Let's say it's these United States.
Yeah, that's probably why free speech is such a big thing.
It is, yeah. So. Oh, Neil says buy a big island.
Yes. Buy one for us, Neil, and we'll all move there, no doubt. I'm sure. So I seen the Shanghai exchange. They have now been bumped up to the #2 exchange, surpassing the COMEX.
Really? In volume?
Yep. They now have more volume than the COMEX and are still under the LBMA, but are on the way up.
So it's London, China.
They're going to be setting some of the have more to say possibly in that now. I don't know, but that's what the numbers are saying. That's what the numbers say anyway. So that'll be interesting to watch, I guess. So, and I also, in the background, I don't try to push it too much on here talking about Bitcoin. I know a lot of people really like it, and I if people make money on it, that's great. I'm not against people making money. I personally don't. I kind of think it's a hook to grab people in, so I don't want to make money off that. I'm not against people who do. But
there's something better on the way, though.
What's that, osmium?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Tokenized osmium coin.
No, for sure. Yeah, right. But I guess in Australia, they're now having to access the internet, have an ID, this new ID.
Right.
And so, I was talking with my wife about that. I was saying, I think there's going to come a time that you're not even going to be able to access just to get on the internet without that.
It'll be permissioned.
Right. So at least to me, I mean, I was asking her, is that not possible? Because to me, I think they have that control, whereas some people might say they don't. But I find that hard to fathom that couldn't be put in place. So,
oh my gosh, that has all sorts of implications, because then in that you put that code in, there's probably coded embedded in that you've given them permission to monitor everything you're doing.
right, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's what, and that
which they're probably doing anyway. But
that happens so often nowadays, where if you go to sign in your bank, they're like, first you got to tap this box so that you agree with the new terms of service.
Yeah,
yeah, and like you're gonna read the 30,000 pages of small print, you know. So
yeah,
that's happening all the time. So I just think that's coming.
So maybe tokenized osmium, 100% backed, will be the osmionite that breaks the banking system. It's like,
well, you know,
it's an incorruptible crypto token, 100% physically backed, and the physical backing cannot be forged, faked.
Right, that would be cool.
It has a visual database outside of the internet as well.
Yep, that would be awesome. Yep. And yeah, so with that, you know, those types of topics, though they may be depressing, I mean, it does show that we're, you know, I think that's why we're here talking, and we're on the track of something at least in reality.
And there's definitely malaise. I think that's the word I want. There's definitely a malaise over the population, that they're accepting of so many things without questioning them.
Yeah.
You know, people are now accepting that 2 adults have got to work till they die to buy a house. It's like, and it's just, oh, that's how it is. But it is not what this country is supposed to be, is it?
No, it's we're a shadow of what we're supposed to be. Like we were
yes.
talking earlier about with the 4th of July and our little fireworks that we put off, as if those are, you know, where originally we were firing cannons to show we're powerful, you know, and now we're like, pew, pop, pew, pop,
and they're made in China.
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of it's something anyway.
Oh, you want to put Space Miner's comment up?
All right, where are we at here?
5:51 p.m. Osmium has broken $1,500.
Oh, cool. Nice. Wow, must have had a little jump there.
Thank you, Space Miner, for keeping an eye on that.
Let's see what's Gerald saying here. Yeah, I think the you know, Lynette Zhang's little pillar, the community is such a big part of what's coming. You know, you know, I think that one of the big pressures right now is on farmers, if you know, if you're paying attention.
And yes, so many angles over so many decades. They've been attacked from every sort of angle you can imagine, from the banking and from the seeds, from fertilizer, from some erroneous environmental things. So many angles of
from taking our beef, shipping it overseas to sell, and getting the foreign beef and bringing it over here and selling it here, and all kinds of, you know, ridiculousness going on there. So, hey, Silver Boy Blues, welcome in.
Yeah, I mean, you might have seen in the news, we've had it in Idaho. A lot of the farmers lost their water rights this year, and they were told after they'd planted their crops.
Okay, I heard a little bit about that. I didn't know the full story there, but then
yeah, it's a complex, because the Idaho owns the water in Jackson Lake in Wyoming, because that's the head of the Snake River, and that winds its way into Idaho, and that's where the farmers extract. A lot of farmers extract water from. And a lot of them were told your water rights are cut 80% or whatever percent, and literally it was after they'd had all the expense of planting their crops.
And
Now,
everything to be ready to be irrigated. And that's
and we've just had about 3 or 4 dry weeks. So that's probably any farmer that couldn't irrigate has lost the whole of that investment. I gather from potatoes it can be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 an acre.
Yeah.
To prepare, till, and plant the crop.
Sure. And then, let alone not get the reward of what that would bring in.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that, and the number of things we've had of whole flocks being slaughtered because of this disease and that disease. And I'm sure some of it is probably sensible, but it does they're under attack. I've got a local farming friend, and it's like one year hay is really expensive and beef is really down, and then the other year it's the other way up, and they've shut down the local markets. So if he wants to take cattle
see that
to the market, he's got to drive 120 miles.
Yeah, I was talking about that, how even all the pressure just bottlenecks everything a little bit, gives them more control.
And then the small guys give up.
Yep. And isn't that something that all that's happening? It's funny how like I knew water's going to be a thing because they're trying to commoditize it and they want to put it on the stock exchange.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, this is coming. So you're going to start to see, just like what you just mentioned there. Like,
and if you want crazy, last week I saw a documentary. There's plans for private energy companies to purchase under eminent domain, i.e. compulsory purchase, up to, listen to this, 5% of all American farmland. Private corporations have been given the power to do that, and they want to use it for transmission corridors, for solar, wind power.
They've been given it so that they can just
they can just walk in and tell a farmer who could be 5th generation, bye, goodbye, here's your dollars, don't come back. And they don't even have to use the land. They could then decide, you know what, it's not viable, or, we're just going to sit on it. And it's I don't understand how that law got through in America, but a private corporation, it's bad enough that the government should be able to do eminent domain purchase. I mean, you could understand if it was a critical freeway needed building or improving, and you needed a bit of private land, that if negotiation failed, reasonable and fair negotiation failed, and then I understand why a government might need the power to say, no, we're buying it. But to offer that to private corporations, that stinks.
No, it's kind of obvious and sad and horrible.
And part of that plan to create these transmission corridors in the middle west is to increase the population densities over in the east and up in the northeast. Basically, they want to corral the bulk of the population into urban centers. Where you haven't got freedom, you probably won't be allowed your certain privileges, certain parts of the Constitution that will get banned more and more in cities. And then when you pile people in on top of each other, they start fighting each other. Naturally, that's just human nature. Pack people in tight. I mean, you know what it's like just in a family. You get sometimes you just need your space, don't you?
Sure.
I mean, you make beautiful. Sometimes you go make something, don't you? Just okay, I'm going to go make something.
Yeah.
I remember when my mum and dad used to be a bit. My mum would go in the kitchen and bake. My dad would go in the workshop and make something. We had space. When you pack people into apartments, they haven't got space. So there's no natural relief for just the normal pressures of life, and it's just. To try and pack more people into that is,
that's kind of, it seems like they're trying to shift the whole psyche of people into that type of a mind frame. And I mean, that's going to be such a shift in reality. I don't know how well that's going to work. And with what they're doing in the food systems is going to cause problems there. So.
Silver Boy Blues, a good comment there about corporations buying up huge quantities of homes. that is just beyond, because I think Blackstock and Vanguard, they can borrow overnight and keep on borrowing overnight at 0.5% or 1%. And they've got the ability just to keep on rolling in debt and pay virtually nothing for it. Whereas the private buyer now, what we're looking at 6, 7, 8% for a 30-year mortgage.
Yep.
And so it doesn't matter what price they pay for the property, they will make money on it.
And they're extending that out now to like 40 years. And yeah.
Are they offering a 40-year loan?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Right.
So.
And again, I mean, on the mortgages, I saw a program, they were talking about the reason they encourage refinancing, and particularly when interest rates were low and staying low, people would keep on refinancing. You never actually paid any principal off. So all you ever paid to the bank was the interest, and you still owed them the principal and the interest.
And that's what our government is. That's what we're in, right? We're paying more on interest. In fact, we're just, well, I heard like possibly up to 50% of our taxes goes just to interest.
Yeah, we're around one. I heard different figures. I think they projected that pretty soon we're going to hit 1.2 trillion. So I think the tax pull is like 3 trillion, but yeah, it's getting close to that.
And the debt clock shows that we're paying more on interest on debt than we are in the defense of war. Have you seen that?
Way more than the total military budget that we know of. But the good news is our debt to GDP is only 133%, I think. That's the good news. China's is 306. So, and we did recover, didn't we? After the Second World War, we did recover from that. So I think that is possible. But what's not possible is to honor the unfunded liabilities. And that's where the precious metals really kick in. That if you want to cover your future unfunded liabilities, you better get out of the dollar into something real.
Yeah.
Because the country can't, but at least as an individual, a lot of people can make moves that will make sure their future expenses will be, you'll be able to cover them.
Yeah, and my kind of question is like now that I kind of know what I know, it's how are they, because to me this has all been planned for quite a while. There's people that know obviously the reality of things, and so they plan this, and that's why you get this you will own nothing, because they know where we're at, and so my question is, how are they going to reveal this to all the, like they're slowly doing it, you can see it through inflation. I mean, it's coming that way if nothing else. But they could, have a big let up where suddenly, the markets go down, they lose their 401ks, and I mean, there's that option for them as well. And it's interesting for me to see. I wonder, hamster wheels, like I'm on like 5 hamster wheels trying to keep things up, and so that's
and the side hustle is portrayed as a lifestyle choice.
Right.
Not a desperate necessity.
Right.
And they talk about it in Jackson. I've got friends, and they don't talk about it as, oh my gosh, this is so, they talk about it as just like normal. You need 2 jobs. So, so a couple needs 4 jobs now. It's like, where does this end? I guess, it doesn't, does it really? Not.
That's what I think we might be starting to see. I mean, that's what I'm seeing, actually, is I'm seeing the system so far out of control that I'm actually seeing it, like, as if it's, so I think that's actually what we're seeing. But how far it can go before you can't not see it is the question. That how far radical will it get? Is the question. But yeah, I think solid things. I do think though that there is going to be this is the downside for metals, if I'm playing devil's advocate with what I'm seeing coming, is that, like I said about, you're going to have something to sign in to the internet itself,
right?
And so it will become a community thing, like we're talking, you know, because they're going to give you X amount of time, and they're going to bump up the price. They're going to try to flush as much of it probably into their grasps on the first swipe as they can.
Okay.
And, you know, they'll say, okay, we're going into this new system, and oh yeah, look at that. Hey, silver and gold is doubled. They're up doubled right now. But you have to get rid of those things because we can't have this outside market. That's why there have been a lot of banks kind of frowning on coin stores and whatnot, perhaps.
Yeah.
And so now suddenly we're not going to let that happen, because that's another way for corruption, they'll say, to do business. The gangsters are doing business that way, they'll say. And we're gonna control all of it, so we know that you know, no one can transact outside of. We've got unlawfulness inside the border, outside the border. We got to get control of this. And so I think they're going to try to pull that, where they say, you bring it in by this month's end, and we'll give you, you know, double what it's at. And
yeah, no, I can
you can't get access to it after that. Like, they'll try to shut that down.
And I think when we get the first real move, there'll be a percentage of people will just cash it in anyway, perceiving that it's, you know, with the previous volatility, looking back over decades, they'll think, you know what, I'll just get out at the top. Yeah, that top will probably just be a floor. So there'll be a bulk of precious metals that will leave private hands on the first big move.
Yep.
But no, I agree with you. If a government wants to confiscate further the metals that are already in private hands, they've got the option of just keystroking more currency into existence and offering a premium.
Yep.
Silver, I think it's probable it'll be declared national importance, military importance. Any number of reasons. Probably eminent domain probably covers it, doesn't it? That might even allow private corporations to take it as possible. So yes, there is that risk possibility. So I guess along the way, we've got to gauge at what point do we step out into something else that is a better option, if there is a better option.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know there's people working on it. I think, I mean, to be honest, without knowing it, I mean, we're kind of working on it. So, but I think that's, I guess, kind of the thing is the bigger the community, the better off what's coming is going to be. And I think
there's an interesting. Sorry to interrupt, but just saw a comment from Neil. The Russian mob used BTC. Yeah, I heard several instances where there's been proven acts of terrorism that have used Bitcoin, funded by Bitcoin. And then if that Bitcoin has stayed in the system, and then that one coin gets divided up and gets put in different wallets, each of those wallets becomes contaminated and a crime scene.
Yeah, and check this out.
So potentially, once it's dispersed out into thousands of accounts, the feds or whoever can follow all of the code and seize all of those accounts.
Or just say, because it's being used, we're not going to allow.
We're not allowing it anymore.
And check this. This is what they'll do. This is what. See, this is why I say it's a hook. Is because then they'll say, but it's okay. Just turn it into us, and we are going to
cash you out
that new CBDC wealth.
Yeah.
And so the people will stay in wealth, because then they're keeping their wealth.
And then
that's how they got them locked into the system without them realizing it. That's my whole thing of why I don't.
So, and then the new digital dollar, you won't be allowed to purchase crypto with it.
Right.
So it'll be a one-way move. Yeah.
I mean, you know, if from my picture I'm seeing what I'm seeing, those things are obvious. I mean, you know, and if you read the Bible and you look at it from that angle, I mean, that's definitely, I mean, we're right down the lines of what should be coming.
Yeah.
You know, so whether you're on that side of things or not, that's something that's quite obvious to line up. Because I mean, you know, eventually, even if BRICS works, at some point, if BRICS fails, it's going to be the same, and if BRICS works, it'll be the same. Eventually, they will merge because of some catastrophe that they'll say, XYZ, we got to just make this unified and quit this warring and blah blah blah.
Sure.
So it's going to be one, you know,
Ooh,
and no one can interact, transact. I mean, that's a
so just thinking about what you said there, then a useful research challenge. I don't know if anybody's got time whilst we're on live. Who are the member banks, member countries of the Bank of International Settlements? That would be interesting. I know there's over 50. And I know that the coordination at their headquarters in Basel is extreme. They have secret meetings every 2 months, and that's where the banking policy around the world is set.
Yep.
So if some of these so-called BRICS countries are actually part of the BIS, 100% the BIS are the ones who are in charge.
Yep. Yep.
Then this is just a smoke screen.
That's what I think. That's what I believe.
It's a diversion and a smoke
and
screen.
Just that article you sent me in the email on our last one where you said, let them bicker between two sides, fighting amongst things that don't matter, and they'll exude their energy on that and not see the real picture.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot. I think there's a big part
and I understand why it's appealing to precious metal stackers who want precious metals to soar, but because if the BRICS did do what people are saying they're going to do, that would cause precious metals to soar. But the precious metals are going to soar because of mathematics and history and time.
Yeah.
Basic physics, basic supply and demand, basic, consumption, destruction. There's just the fundamental inelastic supply, inelastic demand, increasing demand.
Yeah.
They will run.
Right.
It doesn't need a challenge to the dollar.
Right.
Especially by, the yuan is being debased 3 to 5 times worse than we've debased the dollar. So how could they possibly combine a completely toilet grade currency compared to the dollar? The dollar's bad. How can you combine that with other ones to form a challenger? It just you've got a bucket of poo and you mix more poo in it. It doesn't make magic chocolate drink, does it?
Yeah, no.
It's still bucket of poo.
Yeah.
And fiat.
Yeah, I mean,
anything to do with fiat declared value because the government says so is going to fail. And if you mix a whole load of failing ones together, it might even fail even faster than they would have done on their own.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the $1 trillion platinum coin that was discussed, right? Like, oh, we'll just make a platinum coin worth $1 trillion and that'll take care of the debt. It's like, wow, there you go. There's modern monetary theory for you right there.
Yeah. Well, it's a magic money tree, isn't it? It's not.
Yep.
There's no.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So that's that on. So I suppose we should look at some osmium. Yeah. So what? Space Miner say is the price on the move now here? Did it break up over 1,500?
Over 1,500. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, let me see if I can turn this on right quick. So me and Space Miner were doing a auction last week, and we looked at some osmium under the microscope, and I held it at an angle, and we caught a really unique look into osmium that I hadn't seen before. Hopefully, might try to see if I can replicate this action, which may be a disaster. So, and let's see, have you seen the little jewelry picker-upper that Space Miner showed me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's handy with these pieces.
Yeah, he had his silver silver and osmium pendant, wasn't he? He was holding with that.
That's upside down. Let me flip it over. Boom. All right. I don't know if I'm going to be steady enough here. Okay, here. I'm going to have to go up. Why don't you show some of your jewelry here for a second while I get positioned? Let me pull you up.
Sure. I haven't even unpacked everything yet.
Let me see if I can get you. Yeah, there we
go. Yep, we got a batch of the 4mm earrings. That's not really got much good light on that, has it?
Oh no, that looks nice. You can.
Is that showing up your end?
Yeah, it shows up. It's nice.
So, let's see if I can... yeah, we've had a batch of these done. Oh, and I think Neil, talking to Neil earlier, he's going to have the nose rings soon.
Oh, cool.
So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how they work out for Neil. Oh, this is a new one. So this is a, if I can take it out of the box. Oh, you can. So this is a 7mm square in white.
Nice. Nice. Okay, so yeah, that's that nice looking piece there. I got my.
You up and running?
I think so. Jump over here. Okay. Let's see. Let me try this. Switch-off.
That's a 3mm triangle.
Yep. Okay, let me see if I can get under that with this.
What sort of microscope are you using?
It's a Tomlov. What is it? It had 3 different lenses on it. I haven't done much with it. I've just only tried it with this lens, which is I think you can get a lot closer than what I'm using here. But let me see if I can zoom this in. There we go.
And I presume that has an LED light.
I'm going to have to tip it over first to get it underneath my piece.
Oh, that's like a sticky.
It's silicone. Silicone, yeah. So
that shows the edge. Really
shows the edge, and if you see that pyramids in there.
Oh wow! Yeah.
You get a lot better. You can see all the little different pyramid shapes.
See the topography. Yeah.
Oops, I'm bumping stuff around there, but yeah. And if I zoom in, I was a little bit closer, I think, last time, but yeah, it just gives you can get a lot better idea of all the different.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I see there's a tiny little bit sticking out on the corner there when they cut it.
Yep.
Didn't quite come off.
But yeah, look how thick it is. Like, it's a heavy piece, like you say. That's a.
Is that a Sparkle 4?
Probably. But yeah, look at that pyramid there, kind of up towards the tip.
Wow.
And you can really see the blues in it. And so I imagine if I get, I'll try to get a little bit better later. I think
Yeah.
you can probably even zoom in closer. I'm trying to think how oh yeah, now I can remember. Give me a second to see if I can get in even closer here.
I know the microscopes they use at the Osmium Institute, when they take the pictures of each piece, they cost $50,000 each.
Woo!
So they're using pretty high end. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, look how it gets this.
Optic.
You go up just a bit. I'm a bit too close. But yeah, so right now I'm shooting through 2 screens, my camera, and then so I thought this one I could, I believe with Microsoft I could screen share it, but with Apple it wasn't. I can't do that, so I got to get a different microscope so I can just screen share. It'll even be clear.
Right.
And then if I adjust the. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That must be getting close to 100% reflectivity, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool to see it from that angle like that. So that's that. Okay, I'm going to bring you back up so I can refinagle. You guys show some more jewelry. If you got some, I'll be right back. Oh, wrong person.
Yeah, I think what the other boxes were more 4mm in white. Yeah. So yeah, that's another pair of 4mm. These are proving very popular. Just had one client ordered 5 pairs the other day.
Oh, cool.
So when I picked them up from the goldsmith today, I asked him a favor. So can you bring a diamond outside in the sunlight and let's hold them next to the osmium?
Yeah.
And the osmium had way more sparkle.
I bet. Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah. No doubt.
So that was interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. I noticed too. I was watching Space Miners one of his last videos. He made a nice piece, and out in the sunlight, you could really see the blues, really bright blues. He had it set in Cunic zirconium all around it, and the osmium really popped. I mean, it was really pretty blue. I really made it look good. Stuart, welcome in. Dub C, Coins and Precious Metals. Good to see you. In Marsh, Tiger Stacker. Welcome in, everybody. Sorry, I haven't been paying much attention to chat tonight. Nickel Stacking, good to see you. So, where are we at? Okay, we're about through here on time. So, what's your deals on silver? So you got some jewelry that's for sale. If people come into the shop there, I suppose you can maybe wait a little, or what's your?
I've got to get these pieces on the website now. That's next
Okay.
task.
Okay,
I
cool.
will get my wife to do that. So that's exciting. I never thought I'd be doing jewelry when I started selling silver.
Yeah.
But I love it because it's, a very, very tangible asset, and unlike diamonds in this crystalline form, it's approximately 60,000 times rarer. Not 6,000, 60,000 times rarer. Wow, when you do the math, they're going to produce about a 10-inch cube.
Yeah, when it holds all these titles, most non-radioactive rare element known, most dense, most reflective, most abrasion resistant, most inert.
Yeah.
And an unreplicable code built into it for twice the safety, so that it can't be stolen. So yeah, that's some nice titles to hold.
Yeah, so I'm excited to getting it tokenized. That is going to be an incredible journey, and I think it will connect to a group of crypto fans who I think a lot of them secretly really know that it's empty. There's nothing behind it, but to have that with something genuine, completely, multi-layered, independent auditing, independent database, physical photographic recognition, topographic scan recognition.
Yeah, and you know what else is interesting? I'm just thinking now myself, the way they want to even commoditize, well, like they're going to have wraps on everything according to their plan. Now, if they're successful, maybe, but, yeah, it'll probably end up coming down to that where you're going to have, like osmium could be a wild card where it you're going to have silver on it, you're going to have gold on it, and then you're going to have like osmium could be a wild player out there where
it could escape because it's such a niche, tiny product. Probably will end up, the multi-billionaires will end up owning the bulk of it.
Yeah.
So they might, it might slip through the gap. And no, this is jewelry. This is not currency. This is not a precious metal. This is jewelry. Interesting. Yeah. It that could be why I was drawn to it. I don't know. It could be a
you never know.
Sell your silver and hang on to your osmium.
Yes.
I did get one more piece, which this is the most delicate piece we've had made so far. I don't know if it will do it justice on my laptop camera.
Here, let me pull you up here. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, L Heart J.
So that's you do really need the sunlight to show it off, but
yeah, that's pretty.
I love the way my goldsmithy's put little clasps to hold the letters, so you don't obscure any of the surface area.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's some nice, delicate work there too.
I'm not really getting the sparkle to show that heart off. I need to get some better lighting.
Yeah, that's what I wish, Gerald. I wish we could all get it all shared with everybody, and then if our community was big enough, then we're not going to have such a problem.
We can't share it with the masses, Gerald. There's not enough. There isn't.
Well, we can try to do what we can to get as many.
There's enough to make. I think there's enough to make about 40,000 of those. That's about it.
Wow, that's crazy.
So, and there's bigger pieces, and some of the people who've bought the bigger discs, they'll probably keep them for generations. So we can't share it with the masses. The masses might get to know of it, but they can't have any of it. So.
Well, hopefully we'll have some more for sale for any lucky character who wanders in and gets lucky.
Yeah, how did the auction go? How many pieces have you sold now?
Oh, I have one. The piece that I'm showing here on the screen is the last piece I have available. Everything else you've sent has been.
I better get some more on the way then.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So yeah, awesome. Well, we're over an hour, so I'll probably wind her down here. You got any silver deals you'd like to share or anything?
I got some news. Premiums are moving up. The 2023 maples are gone, so we've only got 2024s or backdates. So they've jumped 20 cents premium. I think there's still some bars available at 99 cents, but everything is moving upwards now on premium. So that's telling me the wholesalers have cleared the excess inventory.
Yep.
And I think we're going to see just premiums edging up now, week on week.
Yeah, I seen just before I jumped on here, Arcadia Economics next live with Andy was saying expect silver shortages and premiums are going, I think. And so, yeah.
It goes from incredible surplus to incredible shortage in a day in turn.
Yep.
I mean, we were trying to source some backdated gold maples. So I called one of the main suppliers and they just sold 200 just gone. And it's like, in fact, they accidentally sold more than they had, so now they're scrabbling around competing with me trying to find some. So it's So yeah, interesting. And I think there's a lot of people. I had a call today from someone who'd lost a lot on a gold ETF way back, and yet they've not been put off. They want to get some physical silver. And so it's interesting. A lot of first-time buyers coming into the market now.
Yeah, good. I was going to mention that too, that it's such a, with what's coming, with the possibility of, well, with what I know, and with, if anybody has looked into the great taking or not, and then if what I talked about earlier today, there's, if you can have it in your hands, you're cutting out such an easy, because I mean, not just for, like, they could even call it back and say, oh, you got to turn it all in and we're going to pay X amount. That's way better than, oh, it just disappeared out of your 401k and sorry about that.
Sure.
And that's the first thing they'll attack. Then at least
or for the no, sure, or for the retiree who has to draw down when the market's cut in half, so they have to cash in and cash in that loss.
Right. So
you don't get a choice, do you? At a certain point, you have to take it out of the, and that's what happened in 2008. A lot of people lost half of their retirement fund. And it's rinse and repeat, isn't it? You cause the volatility, get it to run to crazy levels, and then crash it down. And no, you're right. To be outside of that is it's an awakening, isn't it? Because I think it makes you just look at a lot of things differently.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, we'll keep plugging away and doing what we can, and on she goes. Guess you got to enjoy the ride while you're on the ride. So the ride.
Yeah. Continues. I mean, stay hopeful, and we've still got a lot to be thankful for.
For sure. I've had it. Yeah, that's for sure. Indeed. Yeah. Always keep that in mind, right? Yep.
And just, and thank you, Gerald. Remember to keep having those boating accidents.
Indeed. All right. Well, we'll have you back in a couple of weeks here and see where we're at. And thanks everybody for coming in, and we will catch you all on the next one.
Thank you, everybody.